Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Sherman Reed. Today I'll be doing my 5-star predictions follow-up that has been a very long time coming. Before I get into this video, if you are new to this channel, please don't hesitate to subscribe down below, as well as hit the notification bell so you can get updated every time I post new videos. So this video has been, like I said already, a very long time coming. I posted this 5-star predictions video, I want to say like back in 2020, maybe even like 2019. Like, it's been a very long time. Like, when I say it's a long time, it's been a very long time, and it's taken me so long to read all the books. And I think my biggest issue, or my biggest mistake, was that I was picking up a lot of series that I was like, okay, I'll have 5-star predictions. I did 10 of them, and some of them were standalones, which is fine, but some of them, a lot of them, were actually like series. So I was doing like the Lady Midnight series, or I was doing Never Night series, or whatever. And so they were all like series I never started yet, so they were like 3 books, you know, like multiple books. And so my 10 books end up being like 30 books almost. So that's why it took way longer than I expected. But I'm excited to go through them right now and just kind of see like which books I thought would have made it and which books did not make it. I will link my 5-star predictions video above and down below in case you want to check that out and just, you know, follow along. So before I get started as well, I do want to say that a lot of these books I have actually already sold, especially the ones that I didn't love. And some of them I already packed away as well, because I am in the process of moving, so, or like trying to like organize things right now so I can move. So a lot of them have been like packed away already. So I only have a few books actually that were on this list that I still have like outside of everything else. So anyways, the first book that I want to talk about is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. This book, I actually was right. I gave this book 5 stars. It was so good. I just loved everything about this book. Like, it was just, I mean, to be honest though, I am Sarah J. Maas trash, so I tend to really enjoy all the books that she's written in the past, and like everything she's written so far, I don't think I gave anything under 5 stars. Like, even the novella, I think I gave like 4.5 stars or something like that, but everything she's written I love, like I absolutely adored. So I was not at all surprised that I gave this book 5 stars as well. The next book that I included on there is The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. This is actually a unique one because this is one where I actually read the first book and I have not picked up the rest of the series yet, and I only picked the second book as my 5-star prediction. So I was like, hallelujah, I only have to read one book for this. But I was also right in the sense that I did give this book 5 stars as well. I mean, end of the day, it's Brandon Sanderson. I don't think I've also given any of his book like less than like 4 stars, to be honest. So I really enjoyed this as well. I did listen to an audiobook though, so it did take, and it was some time between the first book and this book, so it did take me quite some time to like, you know, rehash everything and just like remember everything that happened. But it was just good as well. It's very politically heavy, so if you don't really like political heavy book all about politics and, you know, governments and who's in charge of what, etc., and just how things are being run, I don't think you'll like this book that much. But surprisingly, like, I do, because I feel like I'm usually not the biggest fan of like politically heavy books, but I really enjoy the characters. I really enjoy the plot in the first book that, you know, like this book was okay with me. Like, I really enjoyed it. Alright, then this next book that I picked up is Red Hood by Elena K. Arnold. This is a book that I was tragically wrong. I only gave this book 2 stars. I don't know what I was thinking of this book because it was just not good. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the plot. I just didn't like anything about this book. And I think the only reason why I had this as a 5-star prediction is because I had heard someone talking about it and how it was like her favorite book of the entire year. And I was like, wow, like you're making this like really interesting for me. And so I don't know, like, and I really like retellings, you know, so I was like, oh, this is like a Red Riding Hood retelling. It's supposed to be this person's like best book of the year. I was like, it's like, you know, now really top tier for me. And it fell really hard. It was not good at all, and it was just more about like period and like feminism, which is fine, but like that's not what I was going in expecting. Like, I was expecting, you know, like a retelling and like just like fairy tale, like, but set in the modern age. And I just didn't really think how heavy it would focus on like feminism and kind of like the metaphor of guys being like wolves. I don't know, it was just like a really weird book, and I think I just went in with the wrong expectations and like just completely off. Like, I was just so wrong, and I really hated this book actually. Like, if it wasn't for the fact that I like some of the messages in this book about feminism, I would not have given this book 2 stars. My next prediction was King of Crows by Libba Bray. I think this book 3 stars. It was okay. It's also like a unique situation where it was like I read every book in the series and this was the last book that just came out, and it was like the final book. Dude, this book was tragic. I had such high expectations because I love the series. Like, it was so good, so atmospheric, so spooky. I love the characters, like their dynamics with each other, their like friendships, their romances, like everything about the series I loved. But when this book came out, like, I was not the only one who felt this way, because the entire like bookish community was just like, what happened? It just seemed like the author was forced to like write this book like super fast, because nothing was like super fleshed out. It felt very rushed. At the same time, it was also very slow, because I remember there were like so many elements in this book that dragged on so much that I was like, wow, like what is going on here? It didn't need to be dragged on at some unnecessary areas, and places that could have been fleshed out more, it wasn't. It was just like a really weirdly paced book, and I didn't like the ending. I didn't really like anything about this book. Well, no, I still like the characters. Like, the characters were still really good, like still charming and everything. I just didn't like how everything panned out at the end. And for such a epic series, for the finale to be this like disappointing was so disheartening for not just me but for a lot of people. So I was just very disappointed. I think I gave like 3 stars purely because of like sentimental value, to be honest, because I was just like, I just love the series so much, and for this to be such a disappointment was just very heartbreaking. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna really say about this book. Just very disappointing, I think. So let me know below like if you have read the series and what do you guys think about this really sad ending. Then my next prediction was Daisy Jones and the Six, which I was right. I gave this book 5 stars. Honestly, at this point I feel like Killer Jenkins Reid is just a really great author. She just writes really great characters, very relatable, like realistic characters, really great plot, just like a lot of like turmoil and just a lot of situations where it's so relatable to the readers, and I really enjoyed this. I heard like mostly amazing things, but then there were a few things I was like, some people just like didn't like it, but I personally really enjoyed it, and I even recommended it to my sister afterward because she had this on her list, and then she came over and she was like, oh, like I'm trying to look for these books, like do you have the recommendations? And I was like, oh, this book is amazing. So she read it and she also really enjoyed it. So I just felt like this book was just, it works well with a great audience, like a wide audience. So loved it. I'm super happy that I gave this book 5 stars, and that was right in my prediction. Okay, then this next prediction that I made was one that I was very disappointed by as well. I decided to predict 5 stars for the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. This book, this series, I was sorely mistaken as well. I DNF'd it. I read the first book and I felt like it was just okay. Like, I think I gave the book like 3 stars or something like that, and I started the second book and I got into like, I don't know how many pages, and I just like left it there. This is like the one book where I just had it as like reading for months. Like, I just couldn't get into it. I didn't even try picking it up, to be honest. Like, I just had it there. I also had it on audiobook, and I just like didn't even try to like complete it. I just like let it sit there for months and months, and then finally I was like, what am I even doing? Like, I should just DNF this book. Like, I don't even know why I didn't do it already. So I DNF'd it and called it quits. It was just not good. I didn't like the writing. I don't think, like, honestly, I don't think N.K. Jemisin's the book for me, because I'm actually reading her other book right now, The City We Became, and I am not loving that either. I just, something about like her writing just does not like mesh well with me. I don't know what it is. I'm listening to an audiobook too, so I don't know if like maybe it's like narrator, but either way though, like her books so far like have not been doing it for me whatsoever. I just feel like for this author who has received so much praise from like everyone that I knew, I expected more, and it did not live up. The series just did not live up to my expectations, and I don't know, I just like had really high hopes. Like, I was about to like purchase the other like bind up where it was like 1,000 pages of her other trilogy. I'm so glad I didn't, because I just don't think her writing and like her story just works with me. I don't know what it is. Like, if you guys know what it is, like let me know down below, but just something about it I'm like not loving, and I'm very disappointed by that. Alright, now my next prediction was the Daughter of Smoke and Bones trilogy by Laini Taylor. This is a series that was very unique in my situation because I had read this first book and really didn't like it, and I was like, fuck the series. Actually no, I DNF'd the first book like a long time ago, and I was like, fuck the series, I don't like it. But then I read A Stranger Dreamer, and that series was like peak everything that I wanted, and I was like, let me give her initial series a try again. And this time I loved it. I decided this time to read it physically, and it was such a good decision because I loved everything about it. Like Kaoru, the guy, I forget his name right now, but like everyone was just like so good. The story, the writing, like everything was just beautiful. Like I don't know what I was thinking like 5-6 years ago, but this series is so good. Like I just loved everything about it, and I definitely feel like Laini Taylor is definitely a must-read author, must-buy author for me in the future, because so far, like all her series, the 2 series I read from her, Stranger Dreamer and this series, which I think are her only 2 series that she has out, I might be wrong, I loved. So clearly this author is doing it for me. So I'm very excited to just see like what else she has in store for me in the future and what more books she'll write in the future, but I'm super happy that I was right in this prediction. Then my next 5-star prediction was actually the Lady Midnight series. This was also very disappointing on my end. I ultimately gave the series 3.5 stars. It was, I don't know, I just felt like I didn't care much for the characters at all, and I think that was my biggest like drawback for the series, because for me to really enjoy a book I need to care about the story, about the characters, about something, and I didn't care about anything in this series. The only thing I cared about was that it was Shadowhunters, and I just still enjoy like reading all the characters, like the old characters like Clary and Jace and like Simon and everyone else that made an appearance in the series. The actual characters, the main characters, I didn't care for, and so I just felt like my 3.5 stars I gave, it was again more of sentimental value than anything, because I was just okay. Like I felt like the series was just mediocre, and I don't understand like the whole hype about it, because I remember when like the 3rd book came out, everyone was talking about it and they were like super emotional about it, and I read it, I was like, I don't see anything going on with this book. So I don't know, I just felt like the Shadowhunter series is really a hit or miss. I really enjoyed the original series. I really enjoyed the Infernal Devices series. This series was a miss. I really enjoyed the I forget what the series is called, but the one that really focuses on Magnus Bane and Alex, like that series I really enjoyed as well. But I feel like that's because I like Magnus Bane and Alex's like interactions a lot. And then I'm reading the most up-to-date series right now, Chain of Gold, and I really enjoyed that one. Like I like that one more. So I don't know, I just felt like her series is like, when I say hit or miss, it's really just this one actually. Now that I think about it, this was just the only one that I was like, it was just okay. Like I felt like it could have been better, you know? Alright, then the next prediction that I had was for the Scythe series. This one was okay. I gave the series 4 stars. I felt like I just saw a lot about, you know, how wonderful it was, and while it was like really interesting about the whole, you know, death and what it means as, you know, a reaper or a scythe person to like, you know, scythe someone and like kill them off, what does that do to you, and kind of like the discussions that were had in that book, I really enjoyed that. But in terms of like, I felt like the last book was just weird. I'm not going to go into it because obviously spoilers, but the way how things had transitioned from the 2nd book to the 3rd book just felt off to me, and for a series that primarily focuses on these 2 characters, the 3rd book was just weird. If you have read the series, you know what I'm talking about. I just felt like I felt very disconnected with the main characters in the 3rd book. So I think there was a lot about the 1st book and the 2nd book that I really enjoyed. It was the 3rd book that just kind of like threw me off and just gave the whole series 4 stars. So yeah, that's all I can really say for that one. It was just kind of a weird book, I think, weird series. The last series I have on here that I had such high hopes for was Nevernight. So this was also such a disappointment. At this point, my Nevernight reading vlog should be up, so I will link that above and somewhere down below in case you want to check that out. That goes much more into detail about my ups and downs already in this book, the series for sure. But short story, I read the 1st book, gave 3 stars, and then I read the 2nd book and then DNF'd it after about 100 or so pages into it. It was just not doing it for me. I just felt like the characters were okay. Like I like Trick. I thought he was a cool character in the first book, but if you know what happens to him, and like, yeah, like you know what happens to him after the end of the first book, you know why I'm like, second book I'm like about. I think like the second book, if I had continued to like read it, I would have really enjoyed reading about Mr. Kindly in Eclipse. I really liked their interactions together and their like little squabbles. It was really endearing. But other than that though, like I really didn't care much for the characters. Like Mia herself, I was just like, she's okay. Like I just didn't really, there's nothing really going on much for her. So now I'm a little bit worried because I had just picked up Empire of the Vampire, and I'm a little disappointed that it would not be very good because I don't think his writing style is also well suited for me as well. So I don't know, we'll see. Like I'm very disappointed. There's also this whole thing that happened with him recently with the whole Goodreads Choice Award where I was like, wow, this is very laughable. It's also like very enlightening to see like what such a popular author was doing. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about it, because I like to not keep my drama, I like to keep the drama away from my channel. So yeah, anyways, point is though, like I'm very worried about how I would read and, you know, enjoy his most recent book. But I think if I don't do well with that book does not mesh well with me, I do not think I will continue reading any of his books anymore, because I just don't really care for the ones that he writes with other authors. Yes, like the Illuminate Files series was amazing. There's also the Aurora series, which also is amazing. But the books that he writes by himself, I don't think so. So I mean, but then again, I've only read like one series, so we'll see. I'll let you guys know how I feel about his you know, writing after I read Empire of the Vampire. But as of right now though, I was not a fan of the Nevernight series. So anyways, those are all the books I have mentioned for my 5-star predictions video. I'm very excited to do another one soon, like an updated one, and this time, like I said already, I'm really going to focus on just books, individual books. So if there's a series on there that I am like, wow, I'm going to love the series, I'm going to put the next book on that series and not the entire books, like entire, like, you know, series on there, because it just made it much more stressful and it just dragged on like way longer than I expected. I feel like I just have very high expectations on like how fast I can read, and that is not always the case. Like this year was not great with me with reading. There was like one year where I did like amazing, and then another year where I did like amazing but not like super amazing. And then like there's this year where I was like just tanked completely. This year and last year I just didn't really do so well. I just felt like I wasn't really in the mindset of reading as much. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, so I don't blame myself for that. But either way though, I'm still very much like, damn, I kind of wish back in the day I was like reading so much, and I can still do it like that now. Just not really the case, you know, with everything that's happening and like my personal life and everything. So by the way though, I do want to have a 5-star predictions video, get updated when it's coming soon, and I'm excited to see like which books will be on there, because I do have thoughts on certain books, certain, you know, series, but like not the entire series. Same with the same for this video. Let me know down below if you have read any of the series or books that I had mentioned in my 5-star predictions video, and what did you guys think about them? Did you guys agree with my sentiment about them, with my rating, etc.? Do you have any books that are 5 stars on your list that I have not picked up yet? You want to share them with me so maybe I can be like, oh yeah, I have high expectations now, etc. But as always, if you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up. It really does help out my channel. And if you'd like to see more content from me, please don't hesitate to subscribe down below, as well as hit the notification bell. As always, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!